Welcome to another video, A Walk with Phil, and I'm here in West Bromwich. And today I'm going to take you on part 2 of my journey along Spon Lane here in West Bromwich. If you haven't already seen part 1 of Spon Lane, I'll put a link in the description for you so you can check that out. So what I'm going to do now is go along the rest of Spon Lane because my original journey was interrupted by KELVIN Way. KELVIN Way wasn't originally here, obviously, yeah. So let's go and check it out then. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to go along Spon Lane just yet. I'm taking a slight detour. I'm just coming along a very old road called Alt Road, AULT, and opposite this road would have been Spon Lane behind me, and Neil Street would have been ahead, but that's all gone now because KELVIN Way has got rid of that road. So I'm coming down what's left of Alt Road, and just here we've got the old Foresters Arms pub at the end of the road here. It's now a cafe and a builder's merchants. And the thing about these sorts of roads is if you don't work down here, you wouldn't ordinarily walk along here. So I thought I'd check it out, because I bet many people watching this probably have never been down these streets before. This is Bullock Street, and as you can see how industrialised it all is along here. And it's good to see that obviously the industries are still in use. So here on my left would have been the Grice Street Works. As you can see now, it's got all the uses. There's like a car servicing place. This company, Grice Street Works here, would have been making, refurbishing engineering machines way back in the early 1900s. And we come across here, we got Robert Hopkins. Robert Hopkins was famous for making barrels. It was a cooperage. Robert Hopkins is now called Robert Hopkins Environmental. That's a very old property that's still standing there. Yeah, they're now into environmental stuff now, and you can see this monstrosity building ahead of me here to the right that's slowly getting bigger and higher. And this place here with this big chimney, this was the Stour Valley Works. But this company, the Stour Valley Works, has been here since 1855, and it was owned by Weston and Price. They used to make railway accessories, and then it was bought by a company called Siddons, and they made, from that point onwards, they made nuts and bolts. It's a very old door. Here on the side of the new recycling plant. The Green Mount fans, another very old building standing there. Stour Valley Works would be over this side as well. Yeah, so you can see that the buildings themselves are still here, and they're still being used, which can only be a good thing, as I said earlier. Yeah, just about here somewhere there would have been a pub called the Shoulder of Mutton, which was opened in 1845 and closed down in 1954. And the one a bit further down would have been the Stour Valley pub, which was known as Creasy's, and it was Opened in 1868. It was around here somewhere, but it could have been here, or it could have been... It's very difficult to determine exactly where it was. I think it could be past this bright building on the right. I'm not sure what this is. Pearl Suite. Looks like it was an old church or something. Yeah, it could have been somewhere around here on the corner of Gray Street, called the Stowe Valley. It closed in 1972. Yeah, so as you can see, Spon Lane would have continued along here. We have a bus stop here as well. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is going to take you along Union Street. Once busy road because it was residential as well as industrial along here. I'm not sure what's left of Union Street anymore. Yeah, this company here, the Metal Window Company, was opened in around the 1920s. It's now Millennium Pressed Metal. So at least again, it's got some use. I think a lot of this big factory complex had been turned into factory units. We've got something called Auto Solutions here. It was quite a big factory, this, back in the early 1920s. As I said, it was a metal window works. That's all I know about it. Just look over there, we can see a pub there just over the road in front of me, the Cricketers Arms. I want to show you something down here. So we go down Hall Street South. The Metal Window Works. Quite a long stretch here of the building. I'm not sure how much of this building is still being used now. A lot of windows are bricked up, and couldn't even bother to make a bit of an effort up there. There's bits of cardboard, hardboard and stuff to close up the windows. There's something called Refab & Co, fridges, freezers, washing machines. To the left here you can see this magnificent building. It's all closed up now. Archibald KENRICKS it was. KENRICKS was a hollowware manufacturing business. They operated on both sides of the canal. But look at all the archways along the bottom there. Well, some windows open up there. I don't think it's been used for anything. This red brick. But this was known as the hollowware manufactory. This is the original site. They used to make cast iron pots originally, and then they began making well, hinges, casters. During World War II they made 7 million hand grenades and nearly 2 million mortar bombs during World War II. There's a very old sign, Hall Street South. Right, we've reached the bottom of Hall Street South. I'll just take you along here in Houghton Street. Look at that inside there, eh? Very old in there, isn't it? Houghton Street, where I'm standing now, is significant in as much as the landowner around here was a certain Mr. Houghton, and Archibald KENRICKS approached Mr. Houghton to lease some land around here so he can build this factory ahead of me. Houghton Street is named after him. Well, I'm going to retrace my steps now back up Hall Street South. I wanted to show you one more thing along Union Street. Established in 1791 was Archibald Kenrick and Sons Limited, and the signage is there, where they still make, what do they make? I'm not sure, hinges? But yeah, it's established 1791. This is still Archibald Kenrick, and it's just that building there. The building there used to be full of presses and all types of heavy machinery, lathes, etc. It was all in there. Yeah. Huge place at one time. Not so big as it was. Now I'm going off the beaten track from Spon Lane. I just want to show you one more building along here. Yeah, it was the Summit Foundry. It was actually built in the 1830s, and he was also, the person who owned it at the time was also a Kenrick. I think he might have been the nephew of Archibald Kenrick, and he was actually owned at one point after he sold it to Mr. Reuben Farley, who was one of the mayors of West Bromwich, the famous philanthropist of the town. Not sure when the Summit Foundry itself closed, but as you can see, it's still up and running as something, and it's called the Steel and Alloy Processing Limited, so the factory itself is still in business and still working. So it's amazing that the majority of the companies along Union Street from the turn of the century are still more or less in use, in industrial use. Okay then, so we finished with Union Street, and now we're going to head back down Spon Lane. Just ahead of me there was Grice Street, and that's where, this is where now the original Spon Lane sort of begins, although it has been widened slightly just about here. Just coming up to Houghton Street where we've just been. Just about somewhere around here with these two cars ahead of me, there was a pub there, as I mentioned earlier, called the George Inn. Which was once owned by William Perry in 1852, who was known as the Tipton Slasher, and he renamed it for a time, called the Champion of England. Just somewhere around where that grey car would be around there somewhere, I think. It really closed down in 1912. Just further along here, just where around about the white van, it's somewhere there, could have been another pub there called the Northwestern, but it was a very old pub. It closed down many years ago. It happened in 1868 and closed in 1895. And we're just going under the M5 bridge, the motorway. There'll be no trace of this now, but just on the corner here of Houghton Street, there would have been a pub here called the Cape Hotel. It had been there since 1818. Have its own mortuary for people who actually drowned in this canal. Yeah, yeah. The Cape Hotel would have backed on. Yeah, ahead of me would have backed on to the canal. But the Cape Hotel was also known as the Cape of Good Hope. It finally closed down in 1966. This is the first one of two canals. This one was particularly important for Archibald Kenrick and the foundries that were up there, because this canal served the factories back in the day. And just past the Cape Hotel, just over here where it's got Joseph Lister and Sons, so just over there in the car park there would have been, well, let me just have a look. I think there was probably 3 pubs just situated just around this bit here where it says James Lister and Sons. There was the Spon Lane Tavern, the Royal Oak, and the Britannia. but sadly, because of the expansion of the factory, they all closed in the early 1900s. Yeah, there's one of the main Chance's buildings there now. I think they've received some kind of funding to renovate it and tidy it up a bit, and it's an ongoing job. I think the scaffold's been up there for quite some time now. There's just this road here is an old road that would take you down to the wharf by the canal. Little used now. Okay, we continue our walk along part 2 of Spon Lane, and you can see there's lots of buildings ahead, all part of Chance's, the glassworks. The newly created road on my left, Spring Road. It's a road that gets sealed off at the very end. It's all part of the Spring Road industrial estate that was created. Here's a canal cycleway now. This will take you down to Wolverhampton, Tipton, Birmingham, Smethwick. New mainline canal. There's an inscription here on the bridge. This is the Spon Lane Bridge, the county borough of Smethwick. The original bridge erected in 1826, when the canal was made at a width of 20 feet 6 inches between the parapet walls. This bridge with the 2 bridges over the railway was widened in 1927 by the Corporation of Smethwick, assisted by the Corporation of West Bromwich and the Ministry of Transport. It was reopened on this day in November 1927 by Councillor Frank Jones. There you go. It's very difficult to read. The writing now has become very fadey. We've got the railway now to my left. And we did have a railway station here. I'm not sure if there's anything left of it. I think this was the London, Midland and Scottish Railway line. We do have a train coming now. May as well just take a little film of that as it comes trundling through. Yeah, there was the Spon Lane railway station around here. I'm not sure if there's anything left. No, it doesn't look like there's anything left, but I'm looking ahead. I can see a kind of a metal walkway just there in front. Maybe that was something to do with the station. I can see the word glass still on one side of the buildings there ahead of me, Chance's Glass. There's a lot of buildings back in the day related to Chance's, the glassworks, and this house here has something to do with Chance's, called the Old Schoolhouse, as they made a school. The school is still here. Just have a quick look at it for you here. Yeah, the old schoolhouse. You'd have thought they could have done something with this, wouldn't you? Would have been nice to have gone inside, wouldn't it? It's the clock tower. Good views up there, I expect. Original path up to the door. There's the original doorway. Again, not sure when this old school closed. But they've all got it all barred on the front. This is Chan's house, and we've got an inscriptive plate here. See what this really says. To record the names and in honour and memory of the employees of these works, who laid down their lives in the Great War of 1914-1919, and you can see the names of those employees who served in the Great War, and also in grateful remembrance of those employees who gave their lives in the World War of 1939 to 1945. Yeah, there you go. I bet many of you didn't know that was there. And we've got a blue plaque which we can show you. You'll have to zoom in for this one, but it says, founded in 1822, the Chance Brothers was one of Britain's foremost producers of sheet glass, optical glass and lighthouse equipment, and the company closed in 1981. I'm not sure if there's anybody living in there, but there's a window open. Looks like there's an air conditioning unit up there. I can see the pipe sticking out the back, so I think somebody's living in there. Salad Master. There's Carwood over there. Again, as I say, these are all buildings that were all part of Chance's. It was a sprawling site, both sides of the canal, both sides of the railway. And also, I just want to show you something else here in Spon Lane. As far as I know, there's only 2 of these in West Brom, and I showed you one that's well preserved, and it used to be in Carter's Green, and they've put it at the new bus station now. And the other one is just being left here. It's called a Bundy clock. There you go. The old Bundy clock. Whereas the one in Carter's Green has moved, this one, it's still in its original spot. They were created in during the days of the trams, and they obviously didn't know if the driver of the tram was going to be late or he was going to be early, in fact. So he would get out his cab, would put in his special key just here to turn, and that would activate a spool of paper here which would record the time of when he actually reached this stop. So the drivers themselves had to ensure that they were on time, because this was the recording that I suppose the inspectors of the day would see when the bus arrived, whether it was late or early. So yeah, that was called Bundy clocks, an import from America. This one is the one in the West Brom bus station has still got the fingers, the clock, but this is just the clock face now. You can see it's still on a spindle, but there's no glass at the front of it, as you can see. It's a shame, really. I would like to see this renovated, wouldn't you? West Bromwich Corporation. Yeah, just ahead of me again, it's one of these things where pointing your finger exactly where it was, but there was a pub called the Spon Croft ahead of me where all these new builds are, just on the corner where that silver van is. Yeah, that was the original Spon Croft that was built in 1817, was demolished in 1938. Yeah, just here, this is when the original Spon Croft was demolished. The new Spon Croft in 1938 was built here. And of course, they said it was a sort of roundhouse style, and it was here till 1999 when it was finally demolished. And in its place is the Durga Bhagwan Hindu Cultural Resources Centre. Whilst we're here, this is Oldbury Road. You can see how busy it is, and this is the main tramway. And when you get to here, there's Malin Street ahead, and that's the West Park Shopping Centre. You can't really call it much. It's not much of a shopping centre, to be fair. And there used to be signage around here back in the day. It would say Dudley was 4 mile, Birmingham was 4 mile, and London was 113 mile from this point here. So there you go. Okay, so there we have it then. That's the end of our journey along Spon Lane. We've done parts 1 and part 2. Part 2, as you can see, was a bit more industrialised with a few very famous industries along the way, such as Archibald Kenrick and Chances. But at least Archibald Kenrick, they're still going. And sadly, Chances, the glass pioneers of the world, are no more. But anyway, if you did like the video, hit the like button and also hit subscribe and hit the notification bell for future videos, and I'll see you on the next one.